You're listening to 23 Jungle Tales on the Sports Objective. Between now and opening day, we will talk to 23 former Pirate baseball players about their path to East Carolina, their time in the purple and gold, and what they're up to now. Now let's talk Pirate baseball.
Welcome into 23 Jungle Tales right here on the Sports Objective, brought to you by pgxgloves.com. And we'll get with our latest member of that fraternity, if you will, for 23 Jungle Tales, and that's Reid Love. We'll talk to him, of course, playing for the Pirates in 2014 and 15. We'll get to him in just a second. But, Bubba, very excited to have, once again, pgxgloves.com. And I want to thank Mark Menikazi again. Appreciate him very much for all that he's done for the show. And for 23 Jungle Tales at, hey, Bubba, pgxgloves.com, you can get everything, right?
Yeah, pgxgloves.com does a tremendous job. You mentioned Mark Menikazi. Kaz played for the Pirates back 2003 to 2005, was a terrific third baseman. But one of the things during his career, he said a lot of times in his pro ball time that he was not satisfied with his batting gloves. So once he hung up the cleats, so to speak, he developed his own batting glove line. He has customized batting gloves, personalizations as well, and then also the baseball gloves themselves. And then in addition to that, football, golf gloves, swag, pgxgloves.com. Check it out. He also has a pirate collection and tremendous looking apparel, and he's adding to it constantly. And I know here recently added a Welcome to the Jungle t-shirt.
Yes, he did. Very proud to have him as our sponsor for 23 Jungle Tales, and being a former pirate supporting Pirates. And speaking of former Pirates, Bubba, we're very excited to have our next guest.
Yeah, this next guy pitched for the Pirates in 2014 and 2015. He is a two-way player in 2015. Welcome into the show, Reid Love.
Sorry, y'all are cutting out, right?
Welcome into the show, Reid. How are you?
I'm good. How are y'all? Thanks for having me.
No doubt. And in fact, we want to have a t-shirt that says two-way you, because we've had so many great two-way players. You're a perfect example. And maybe Kaz, if you're listening, he watches and listens to 23 Jungle Tales in our podcast. Maybe we can get him to make a two-way you t-shirt.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
Let's talk about I know you started out, you were in the JUCO ranks, and then you came to East Carolina, right?
Yeah. I was at St. John's River State College right there in Palatka, Florida. Went there, wasn't too far from home, so went there for 2 years. My head baseball coach in high school got the pitching coach job there, so which kind of made it an easy transition to go there and play there for 2 years. And then my roommate had a offer from East Carolina, went up there, and luckily I was pitching when came to see him, and I was able to get a look from East Carolina at that time. Went up there on a visit and fell in love with the place right away.
Was that for Billy Godwin or Coach Cliff Godwin?
Billy,
that's right, because he would have come in. Yeah, that's right. Someone like that. Yeah, very great guy. In fact, we had him on our Division I preview for the state of North Carolina. As you know, he's at UNCG now.
Yeah.
Bubba did a great job with that one.
He's over there with Hunter.
Yeah. Hunter Allen, like you said, is on staff, and they were off to a tremendous start last year before things got shut down. So hopefully those guys will have a lot of success this year.
Yeah, I hope so. I hope they do well.
But just talk about. You said you fell in love with East Carolina. Obviously, the program had a lot of success down through the years. So many regional appearances. At that point, I guess what had been to 3 super regionals in 01, 04, and 09. So just talk about getting on campus and seeing Clark LeClair Stadium as it was back then.
It was just going from a small town, small high school, not getting a whole lot of fans, and then going to a junior college where you don't pull a whole lot of fans, and then seeing Clark LeClaire, I thought it was huge, and it is. It's a bigger stadium, but then Billy telling me, the draw that they get, and that East Carolina gets a lot of fans, and they're passionate fans, and after that, I was like, I'd like to play in front of passionate fans and a big fan base. Get to play UNC and NC State every year it was fun.
No question about it. The fan base. So you're talking about the fan base. I just can't imagine the guys this year having to play without fans. What was your experience of the fans?
It was incredible. I mean, the first game when when y'all are out in the jungle and calling somebody's name, they do a lamb. I first thought, I was like, they do a Lambo leap. I told my dad, I was like, they do a Lambo leap in the outfield after, and I was like, those are passionate fans, and I was like, just the fan interaction with anyone is they're passionate about their pirate baseball, and it's just awesome to be a part of.
Hey, Bubba, when you say that the as far as the jungle, that's where everybody wants to be, out there in outfield, right, Bubba? I guess he stepped away for a second, but are you there, Bubba? I was going to say that for the jungle people, I just love the guys with the megaphones and that we've had on. We got to get them back on, but the show, they were fantastic. But just those guys, men and women that are out there, are just incredible. I'll tell you one thing. I'm so glad to be a part of Pirate Nation, to be a part of Pirate Media. I'm so glad I'm not the opposition. I can tell you that right now.
Yeah, I couldn't play left field here if I was on the away team. I couldn't do it. They get some dirt on you. They look you up.
And they just do not. They're relentless. I mean,
They are.
I remember a lot of coaches, they get really mad about it, and I'm like, well, what are they supposed to do? It's not like golf or tennis, right? I mean, they don't have to be. Why they don't have to be quiet? I mean, and they're not. I mean, to my knowledge, I can't remember. What's the craziest? Do you remember any crazy stories or things that happened with the jungle for any of the players that come to mind?
No, I remember they did heckle one kid. Their left fielder from, it may have been Memphis, possibly.
Okay.
That they were just in his ear heckling him, and then a routine pop up went to him to left field, and he just misplayed it, and they just let him have it.
Oh.
And it was. I mean, after you see that, you're like, that's home field advantage. Like, that's a routine pop up, and they're just laying into him.
No question. They're definitely I would say, wouldn't you say they're the 10th man? I mean, they're the
Oh, definitely. I told Coach Godwin when I was done playing, I was like, I need to come back. I want to come back and see a game, but I'm going to be in the jungle. I got to go hang out in the jungle with those guys. They have a lot of fun.
And I tell you what's great about our fan base. Hey, Bubba, I was saying to you that the very fact about the jungle, that's where fans want to be. I mean, when you're out there, the people are relentless. We were just talking about that, how relentless the fans are with the opposition, with the players, especially left field.
Yeah, no doubt. Going back to the days at Harrington Field, that was my first exposure to East Carolina baseball in, I guess, late '80s, early '90s, and it certainly changed, but still a very hostile environment. Even though the environment itself has changed with not having the tall white pines that you had back in those days up until, I guess, I guess what 2004 was
Yeah.
last year at Harrington Field. But yeah, Reid, I heard you talking about the Lambo leap, as you called it, and that's
Yeah,
one of that's
my
one of those things. And some people call it a jungle jump, and then some people call it the LeClaire leap. But whatever the case, it's a tremendous tradition.
yeah. Well, my brother-in-law is a huge Packers fan, so we were always watching Packers games, and so when that happened, my dad was like, "They're doing the Lambo leap." I was like, "Yeah, it's the jungle jump." And then he's like, "Yeah, those are some passionate fans." I said, "I know, it's awesome."
Reid, do you remember the first game that you pitched at Clark LeClaire?
I do. It was against James Madison. I came in. It was raining and it was like 30 degrees.
Oh.
It was miserable.
Kind of like now for us here in North Carolina. My goodness,
Yeah,
since Thursday it's been nasty.
it was tough. It was tough.
What about so yeah, that was at the obviously we're pretty superior with our talent. Was it just the weather that really got to you when you're trying to pitch and then it's
Yeah.
cold, raining? I mean, it's got to be hard on the arm too, right?
Well, I think it was on a Sunday, maybe. It was the last or Saturday, possibly.
Okay.
And I wasn't hitting, so I was sitting in the dugout for like 7 innings, and then I went in the eighth to go warm up. So I'm just sitting in there freezing, and then finally going to a game. So that made it a little tougher. If I was playing and running around, warmed up, but it was hard. It was just tough to get warm.
What was it like to, I know you talked about you fell in love with East Carolina. What about Greenville? What makes Greenville so special?
It reminds me, I mean, the town itself is all about, it's a little smaller than because I'm around like Gainesville area, and I've always grew up going to Gator games and stuff, and it was a lot smaller than that. It had a kind of a small town feel somewhat, but they're just all about East Carolina. When it's whether it's football, baseball, basketball, anything, they're passionate about it, and just the school in general.
Absolutely. I'm a graduate of East Carolina, and just a great feeling to put on the purple and gold, even as a fan, alum, member of the media, the fact that purple and gold, how special was it for you? Did you notice a difference when you put that uniform on? I mean, the fans just eat
It's
that stuff up, man.
Yeah, it's definitely. I was always passionate about baseball and everything, and then when these all these fans are so passionate about their sports and just being a fan. And so when I graduate and I'm done, I'm just as passionate. I'm wearing purple and gold watching all the football games on ESPN3 if they're not on on televised here. So, and actually, I was decked out in purple and gold when I think it was 2015 or 2016 when East Carolina played the Gators in Florida at the Swamp.
Oh, 15. Yeah, the
Yeah,
fall of 15,
yeah,
September
I was
15.
there. So my wife was going to school at UF,
Uh-oh.
and I was decked out in purple and gold, sitting in the Florida student section with her.
How did that go, Reid?
Not good, but but I
We
had fun.
we came pretty dang close. I'll tell you what,
It was.
that drive with Blake Camp there when it was at the 20-yard line when he fumbles that ball. My God, we were so close. I mean, I was going, all my family was all asleep at the time, and I'm going nuts. I wanted to scream and everything, and I couldn't because my wife and kids were asleep at the time. And I was like, oh my God, of all times for them to be asleep, and I'll wake up the whole house. And I was
Yeah.
just like cheering, like going, I wanted to be loud, and I couldn't.
I
But
know.
when he did that, I was just so
Every
devastated.
time we scored, I was cheering, and I was the only one in the student section cheering, and they didn't like it. But
Hey, Reid, talk about cheering in the student section, or I should have said, speaking of cheering in the student section, in 2014, were you one of the ones chanting "We want 70"? When we hung 70 on the Tar
No.
Heels in 2014? I
we
said,
won.
were you one of those students chanting "We want 70"?
Oh yeah, I was.
70.
Yeah, definitely.
And guys, bear with me. It seemed like Reid, you're having an issue hearing me.
It could be my
The,
internet. It's a
the,
little
the,
slow.
the lightning knocked my internet out, so that's the reason I had to leave again. And so hopefully I'm here now and that I'm on mobile data, but a bad thunderstorm coming through here.
Yeah, we got one coming through here too. So if you lose me, that's probably why.
So we were talking about Greenville. Were there certain spots around Greenville? We obviously know the co-eds were very nice, beautiful women in Greenville and East Carolina, but nice scenery, if you will. I'm sorry, forgive me for that. But what about as far as were there places you like to eat, party? I know you can tell us now, right? I mean,
Yeah, Sup Dogs was my favorite. That was the best place. And now they've got the rooftop and all. I mean, it looks a lot nicer than when I was there, but it's still awesome place. And then what was the Mexican restaurant right there? Went there
Chico's.
quite a bit. Chico's, yes. Went to Chico's quite a bit. And then we ordered wings over a lot. A lot.
Oh yeah.
I always had that.
Yeah, they have some of the best wings in town, no doubt about it. If they want to be a sponsor, they can. I can definitely tell you, I won't be lying. They're really, really. That's one of my advices is chicken wings for sure, blue cheese dressing. I know that's not good for my doctor watching right now, but that's another show they say. But let's get back to baseball before I get in more trouble. You're talking about your first at bat. I mean, first at bat. You were talking about your first pitch. Well, we could ask you a question. What about? Do you remember your first at bat at Clark LeClaire?
It was that Friday game against James Madison. Yeah, it was a base hit and to right field.
Cool.
And then I think after that was my first hit, or that was my only hit in my next like 20 at bats.
Oh man! So you started out with a bang and then a little bit of a
Yeah,
slump, and you got it back,
nice
right?
base hit, and then that was it. Yeah, for at least for that year, and then when Cliff came, it was different.
What made it different?
He's I mean, he was such a great hitting coach. I mean, he changed everything, the culture about all our hitting. I mean, just the culture in general for all of the program.
So I guess no nonsense. The
No,
guy's a competitor.
yeah, well, you know, Coach Billy was same thing, no nonsense or anything like that. But Cliff came in and was like, if you don't hit home runs and doubles, you don't find my lineup. And we were like, that all right. I want home runs. I was like, all right, this sounds awesome. And he's like, do you want to hit again? Because I didn't hit much in 14. And he's like, you want to hit again? I was like, yeah. He goes, all right. I said, let me hit. And he's like, batting practice. He's like, I just want to see some home runs. And I was like, this is the guy you want to play for, guy. And he's an unbelievable hitting coach. So he's going to teach you, you know, how to do that, how to hit home runs, how to hit extra base hits, how to drive the ball. And he did. And I mean, we put up a lot better numbers than we did the year before with losing some pretty good hitters like, you know, Zach Houchins and Drew Reynolds and those guys that could really hit. But, you know, just having Cliff Godwin come and change the culture and, you know, just change everything. And I mean, it was, I think I credit it to that, why we had such a successful season.
As far as you were talking about the culture is concerned, with Cliff coming in, did it make a difference having a new coach? We love Billy Godwin. He's obviously a friend of the podcast too, so it's not like we're comparing one Godwin to another, one coach to another, and that's not fair to you. But as far as the culture, when you're talking about the culture, sometimes, and I'm not anti-Billy, like I said, I want to make that clear, but sometimes the coaching
I'm not
change is
either.
good.
I like Billy Godwin. He was a great guy. He's a great guy.
Yeah. But sometimes the coaching change kind of like shakes things up in a way that it can go one or two ways, right? It can go really well or not so well. And it looked like from the difference that I saw when you guys had Cliff for the first year, things looked like that it went well.
Yeah. I mean, he's a player's coach. He's going to do what's best for you, and you know he's going to get you what you want, and like, you know, as long as you give it your all and do whatever, you know, he asks of you, then that's what's going to happen. I know when he came in, we had the Easton gloves and Easton Dill, and he called Easton and was like, hey, we don't have, you know, customized gloves and customized this. He's like, if we don't have that, we're switching to Rollins. And we're like, everyone's like, this is awesome. We're gonna get new stuff. We're gonna get cool stuff and all this. And then coming in and, you know, telling us, hey, we're hitting home runs this year. We're gonna have the best. We're gonna put up the most home runs in the country and all this. And it just got everyone all jacked up. That all right, well, this is awesome. This is who we want to play for. But But no, but also nothing to Billy Godwin. I mean, I love Billy Godwin. He was a great coach. He was an awesome guy.
Yeah, like you're saying, Reed, sometimes it's just time for a change. But obviously, Billy did a tremendous job. Otherwise, with the expectations of East Carolina baseball, he wouldn't have been there for 9 seasons like he was from 2006 to 2014. But what you just mentioned as far as Cliff, one of the things that he said prior to that 2015 season, I remember an interview, I want to say it was with Pirate Radio, and he said one of the things or maybe Troy Dreyfus asked him, he said, "Hey, what are some of the things you want to bring back to East Carolina baseball?" And Coach kind of laughed to himself for a moment. He said, "How about the home run?"
Yeah.
And it was just funny. It was one of those things. If you heard how Cliff Godwin said it, it doesn't sound that funny. But my dad and I just looked at each other and said, "Hey, we're about to have some fun."
Yeah, and that's what we said too, right? When he was like, "Hey, you're not going to see my lineup unless you hit home runs." And everyone gets in the box and swings swings out their shoes, ready trying to hit a 5-run home run or something, and he loves it. He even told us, he said, "If you're late on a 3-1 fastball, I'll pull you out the lineup." I was like,
Wow.
"All right." It's like, I won't be late.
Don't be late.
Yeah.
No doubt. What about as far as one thing I'm really happy with Cliff that I love about his game is the very fact he's very aggressive on the bases with stealing bases, hitting runs, the having bunt singles. I mean, you name it. Any way to get on the on base percentage has got to be much better as far as Cliff Godwin, because that's one thing that's really cool about him. You expect unexpected. I think with Cliff Godwin is the best way to
Yeah.
describe him as a coach, which I really love.
That's a good way to put it. Expect the unexpected.
Is there any, as far as the players are concerned, your teammates, or any funny stories you can tell? I mean, we are a podcast, but I know there's stuff in the clubhouse you got to leave in the clubhouse, but is there
Well, yeah.
any funny stories behind the scenes you can share?
I can't really remember anything in particular off the top of my head. No, I can't. Honestly, I can't think of anything right now. If something were to be, probably when we get off right now, I'm going to think of something and it'll pop up, and I'll be like, "Dang, I should have told him this."
Hey,
But
Bubba, he's protecting the guilty, Bubba. He's protecting the guilty.
yeah,
Hey, now Reed, I know, like Dave said, I know a lot of these have to be left untold, but with Charlie Yorgan, there's bound to be something with Charlie.
Charlie, no, I can't really think of anything. Not off the top of my head. I know he's one of my favorite guys, but
one of the things that I remember about Charlie, I think it was maybe when Coach Godwin got tossed against St. John's. I think this was after you were gone. This may have been 2017, and I just remember Charlie. He played with so much emotion. But
yeah.
I remember Charlie at some point. Some people online had run their mouths and said something that was very stupid, and Charlie was referring to him as keyboard heroes.
Yeah, keyboard heroes. Yeah, I can hear that I can see that from Charlie.
Well, especially Reed, when you guys
like that happened. I think it was against UCF, because Coach Godwin used to coach at UCF in years past, and I think somebody came in and hit Travis. It was in 2015, and I don't know if they accidentally they just didn't slide and ran him over. I didn't mean to or what, but Coach came out after they called him out for not sliding or something, and Coach Godwin went after their coach and started yelling at him. He didn't get tossed, but I remember him going at him, and Charlie's right behind him. Charlie plays with that emotion too. So, and that's when I was like, okay, this guy goes to bat for you. He's this is the guy you want to play for.
No question. The one thing I know about Cliff, even though I'm not close to him, is the very fact that he's not going to ask you to do something that he's not willing to do, and he's not going to put you guys out there and then not back you guys up. I mean, I I can never think of a situation where he has. And really proud to have him as a coach. We're very blessed to have him. I don't think that there's a lot of Pirate fans. Sometimes they don't understand. That was one of the things I was mentioning right before when you were talking about Charlie, is that when Bubba said keyboard heroes, I don't think that people understand how much work you guys put in, the staff, everybody behind the scenes. When you look at the coaches, the players, the whole 9 yards. Can you talk about that? Can you give a thumbnail sketch of a day in the life of a player? Because, I mean, you're looking at a situation again. Bubba, how many semesters has it been in a row? I mean, it's like he's the numbers guy. It's well over a 3.5 GPA, like maybe a 3.6. I mean, you probably have to add 2 semesters together for me to get that. I mean, it's just ridiculous how great the baseball program, the GPA has been, and to think how much work you put in. And you got these clowns. If you lose one game and you win the series, they're going to be upset because you don't have that. But I was just wondering about if you could tell fans about what you guys had to do as far as, like, you have the study hall, you got practice,
Yeah,
homework.
study hall we had study hall in 2014, but it wasn't, if you had a certain GPA, you didn't have to go so many hours. But in 2015, there was like, you go into study hall, you get stuff done, then you can go to practice. You get everything done. I think that's why the GPA was so good, is because everyone, was committed to the academic part of it, and that's a good thing. But we'd have 5 a.m. lifts, and then go to class, go to study hall, and then you have your individual work before practice or something, and then you're back home, and then you do it all again the next day. But that was most of the days. Not every day was a 5 a.m. If you missed class, then that was another. Then you had an extra 5 a.m. where you're on the Stairmaster for a couple hours.
I was going to ask, you don't have to tell the name. You can definitely protect the guilty, but do you know any crazy stories of people missing practice or what their punishment was? You don't have to tell us who they are or the coach or anything.
I remember somebody getting in trouble at a football game. Can't say any names. So.
I'm not doing that. Please don't do that.
Getting in trouble at the football game, and the next day at practice, we had the 45. We didn't practice. We had the 45-pound vests on, and we ran the stadium twice, the football stadium.
Oh.
And then we thought we were done. We finally finished. Everyone's couple guys are throwing up, but I think Coach Godwin wanted everyone to throw up. And he said, all right, we're going to the practice football field, and we're going to do log rolls. And we did 200-yard log rolls until everyone was so dizzy, where everyone's, he's like, we're not leaving until everyone throws up. And I'm like, trying to make myself just so we can go home.
Oh, my God. Hey, Bubba, have you ever done that before?
What, thrown up because of the workout, or are you talking about the log rolls?
The log rolls.
I have, but not much, and that's something I have done it as a player, but then I've used it as a coach more than I had to do it as a player. And it was more up and as far as log rolls,
yeah, log rolls to me, they weren't hard at all. They weren't hard at all. So the 200 yards, we're like, all right, we can do that. But he didn't want us to take a break. He wanted us to get dizzy so that we felt sick. And I was like, man, they're not difficult, but they just mess with your head. I was like,
yeah, I bet that there was no more making mistakes at the football game, right?
Oh, no. And we gave it to that kid. We got onto him.
No fist fights there, right?
No.
I'm gonna kill you. Oh man, that's tough. But I tell you one thing, it builds camaraderie, I would think, and character, and the grit and the grind and you want to talk about being passionate, and then you think about just talking about a situation with Charlie the player, and then being run over, whatever, coach coming out. The players are going to, that very thing like you were talking about, they're going to, like literally go to bat for coach because they know, like you were talking about. And then the fact for the individual players, I can't imagine, like, it's almost like a band of brothers, right? I mean, you have where the kids are, you guys are very close. I mean, when you work like you guys, I know on the outside what y'all are doing. I have no idea. I'm not inside the program. I can't imagine you're always going to take up for another player, right?
Oh yeah, yeah, definitely. And I mean, and you spend so much time together. I mean, with like 5 a.m. lifts, then class, which you have some classes with some of your teammates, and then you have practice, and then you hit in the cage, individual work if you want to get some extra work in, and you're spending all these time with your teammates, so you build that brotherhood, and you get close, and then coach sees that, and and he knows that, and it's it's a good thing. It builds a good culture.
Question for you, Reid. What was the hard, since we're on academics, what's the hardest, you're a smart dude, I can tell. What's the hardest class you had at East Carolina? I can tell you what mine is.
Not I I did not have very many hard classes.
Okay.
I wasn't like Charlie. I didn't take those hard classes and then still come out with a 4.0 GPA, but but I think the hardest wasn't necessarily hard, but it was hard for me because I'm not good with public speaking. I had a speech class.
Yeah, that's tough.
So up in front of
All right, we're in a little bit of we lost him a little bit. I know there's a storm that's going through. We got you back now, Reid. All right, there we go. We lost you for a second there. So a speech was really hard for you?
Yeah, just because I don't like talking. It's different if I have like having something I know that I know about. But give me a topic on like history or something and have me give a speech about it is going to be, that makes me real nervous. And I was like, I can't do this.
I took it for granted because I have a theater background, performing sports, not at your level, but that any kind of performance is something that I usually do well. I did okay in that class, but I could have done a lot better. I took it for granted. I thought it was going to be easy. I had the reverse. I thought it was going to be easy, and I took it for granted, because I am used to being in front of people, but it's not a performance. It's a speech. Anyway, we're not going to get off on that tangent. Stats was my hard. Statistics. I have a rule. If you can't pronounce the class, you should not take the class. If you can't spell it, if you can't pronounce it, please don't take the class.
Yeah. I took stats in junior college. It was tough, but I did it, and I'm glad I got it done. And it
my God,
East Carolina, because I know if I did it there, I would have probably failed it.
It's really rough. It's really rough. My dad always said college is an art. There's an art to go to college about what professors to take, which ones not to take. There's some professors you can get A's. There's some professors you're going to be praying to get a C in. Please don't take those professors. They tell me that. Anyway.
Some are tougher than others, Some are tougher than others.
Yeah, let's talk again about baseball, about as far as the 15 season. My memory serves me right. You guys was it the Miami Regional? Was that the one you went in 15?
Yeah, that was the Miami Regional.
And you win was that where you won? I'm sure years running together. Is that where you won the tournament? Yeah,
we won the AAC tournament, and I don't know where we finished in the regular season. I'm not too sure, but I know we won the tournament.
Yeah. Okay. And then you go down to Miami to that regional 15, and then that was to me where that benchmark of winning that conference championship was huge. That tournament was big time for this program, and the shot in the arm and the regional, and then led to the next year, which was incredible to be 90 feet away a few times from Omaha. But that's a whole other show. Bubba, are you back?
I am.
All right.
Again, I apologize, Reid, with the storm coming through, but
troubles.
Glad now. But since you guys were talking about the 2015 season and the run we had through the AAC tournament down in Clearwater, the regional just talk about the preparation with the mission week and so forth. And that year, you had the 35-man roster. We were down at least like 5 guys, maybe like 7 or 8. So those 27, 28 guys, whatever we had active, you had yourself that was a two-way guy, but then you also had Luke Bolka. Just talk about how it was all hands on deck and guys really stepped up.
Yeah, just like at the Clearwater tournament, Luke Bolka hasn't hit in, I don't know, a few games, come in for a pinch hit here or there, and Coach Godwin sees him hitting in the cage, and he's just hitting missiles, and he's like, all right, we're going to put him at DH. And then he hits a home run that game, and it's, that's just great coaching. And then, at first we're like, all right, well, whose place is he taking? And it's like, did they do bad? Like, we weren't sure what was going on. And then Bolka comes up, hits a home run, and you're like, you know what? That's all right.
Next thing y'all knew, it was rolling off the tiki hut, and then y'all were at the plate high-fiving Luke.
Yeah, exactly. We didn't care. We didn't care who was in there. Whoever was in there, was going to perform. So, it really didn't. Like you said, all hands on deck. Everybody, when Bolka gets in there, gets his chance, he makes things happen. I remember, what was it? I think Kirk came in as a pinch hit. I don't know if he came in the 7th and then came around and got the walk-off hit against NC State during the regular season. And, it was all hands on deck. Whoever came up, they stepped up and did their job.
Reid, as far as that season goes with the tournament in Clearwater, what in the world, what is that like to play in Clearwater? Do you like the fact that, that's not too far away. I remember my best friend, after he graduated from college, he went to U of F, from East Carolina, goes to U of F. His parents were living in Florida at the time, in Jacksonville, and he went to Florida Law School. So I got a chance to spend some time in Jacksonville, St. Aug's, Gainesville. I went on spring break in '95. But anyway, what's it like in Clearwater for that tournament? It's got to be, for you being a Floridian, you got to be happy with having that tournament. Great walk. That's a great, beautiful area.
It is. It's pretty over there, and I enjoyed it because being from Florida, and I'm not by maybe 2 hours from there.
Yeah.
So I had some family come, and it was nice to see them because my parents traveled to every game every weekend up there to East Carolina, but the rest of the family's not going to be able to do that. So my friends aren't going to be able to do that, but having it in Clearwater, they were able to come to the games.
Did you feel more pressure, or did you feel more comfortable playing in front of so many family and friends, being that close away? Sometimes I could argue both ways, whether that would be good, or maybe you try to do too much, or does it matter either way?
No, I'm not really, because in the moment in the game, I don't know who's in the stands.
Right.
I'm not really focused on that. I'm just,
right.
Especially if I'm pitching, if I'm hitting or something, I'm sitting in the dugout and I look up and I can see who's up there. But when I'm pitching, it's a different mindset. You just gotta lock it in.
I can relate to that, even with hey Bubba, being on stage. If you were into your character, so zoned in to your character, it's the same way performing in sports. If you start focusing, oh my God, there's my grandma, there's my grandpa, and I look around and I see my family, so focused in, I'm probably not going to do it as well. I'll kind of take the eyes off the problem.
Yeah, it's kind of if you lose focus, kind of. And I didn't want to do that, especially pitching, and especially in the magnitude of that. I definitely don't want to lose focus in that.
And Reid, I know you still follow the program very closely. You obviously had Alec Burleson getting drafted in the supplemental part of the second round last year. Tremendous two-way player. Rear Giles and so on. Just talk about the challenge of performing in both roles. And not only were you a starter, you would pitch a significant amount in relief as well. So talk about the challenge of of going back and forth between roles and not taking whatever happened at the plate to the mound, etc.
That was kind of the I mean, like you said, that's kind of the what you don't want to do. And I did that at times. I you know wore my emotions on my sleeve. I was an emotional player, passionate player, and that's what you kind of can't do. But once you go out there on the mound, you kind of got to just let everything go. And if you go out, take the field, that at bat's gone, everything's gone. I mean, for me, and I'm sure Alex is the same thing, but you know, you, when you have a coach like Coach Godwin, if he asked me to play third base, I would probably play third base. But if he's like, "Hey, I need you to pitch in relief," or "Hey, I need you to start," "Hey, I'm going to play you in center field." Yes, sir. Sure thing. And you whenever you're out on the field, and like we said, next guy up, you want to perform. You want to do well. You don't want to let your team down. So it doesn't matter what role you're in or what you're doing. You want to perform.
And you talk about those different roles in that 2015 season. You made 22 appearances. Play was approaching that you consistently started starting ball games as opposed to the relief role. Just talk about that, and and going back and look at some of those numbers in preparation for this interview in league play. I think you went 6 1/3 in every conference game, and there were a couple where you went the distance. And the one that stood out was the complete game shutout against Tulane, where you surrendered just 4 hits, struck out 6, and didn't walk a batter. So, is that a game that you really remember?
Yeah, I remember that. I remember that series too. I didn't have many home runs, but I don't know I had one then. I remember that one. But yeah, I remember the ones that you pitch well in, like that one. And I just remember I always got into it with Coach Godwin when he'd come out to take me out. And you want to stay in the game, and I'm like, "Are you serious?" And he'd get onto him, and he's like, "Just go sit down." But I mean, it was, like I said, it was whatever he asked me to do. If he wanted me to relieve or start, I was fine doing whatever. I didn't care as long as I was able to pitch and perform and play. So I didn't really care.
Reed, that was one thing that came to mind. I've never really thought about. Probably should have thought about, but Coach Godwin, Cliff Godwin, has an amazing ability not only to pick talent, but he development that he has. And Coach Palumbo now with Coach Dietrich as a pitching coach, we're starting to see that with the pitching. But the very fact that he would say that to you leads me to believe that he had that much confidence in you and the whole team that he's like, all right, I know that Reid's never played third base, but I know he can. And that's really cool to have a coach that not only we talked about goes to bat for you, but also has the confidence in you. You may not even see that you can play third base. The guy already knows you can play third base, and you put it on third base, and it works out. It's just amazing. I've never thought about that till just now.
And I would never play for third. I would play third being left-handed, but it's just that's the kind of confidence he had, and we had confidence in all of the guys that were in there on the team. I mean, it's sometimes he would throw somebody in, like make a defensive change, or just hours before a game change the lineup, and somebody else is playing second or first or left field, right field. Like we don't know, but we know that whoever that is is going to step up, and they're going to play. And that's how it was. We had such depth that it didn't matter who played. And that goes back to the culture thing. Like, he changed everything. And I think, like, I want to say that, I mean, we had a lot of talent on our team, but we had a more successful season than we did in 2014, when I think we had a lot of talent in 2014. We had the 9th overall pick pitching on Fridays for us. And, and then you had Zach Houchins, you had Ryan Williams, you had all these guys that were, all American, like great guys. Drew Reynolds, like we had a whole lot of talent, but it's just, just like Cliff coming in and changing, he's like toughness over talent. He changed the culture. Next guy come up, step up, do your job, and everything will work out.
No question about it, and it did work out for you. As I know you got drafted in the 10th round by the Orioles. I know that unfortunately you were just recently released. Or have you hung up the cleats, or are you looking to get on with another club right now? I know I'm putting you on the spot, so.
No, it's fine. I talked to my agent about it, and it's going to be really hard because of COVID happening and, not being able to play. But the year before that, I had surgery, so I missed that season. So now being out 2 years, I came into spring training healthy, ready to go, and then they canceled our season. So, it's going to be hard going 2 years off and not playing and to get a job somewhere. And I understand that. So, I kind of at peace with it.
Let's talk about your pro career. Orioles, a great organization. How did you first of all, how did you find out you got drafted? Let's start there. We found on the 23 Jungle Tales and the guys that have come on for extra innings and come on our regular show with the Sports Objective that it's funny stories about how guys didn't think they were getting drafted. All of a sudden they get a phone call, or the old days where guys in a dorm or the guys in an apartment and, hey, some guy called you and left a voicemail on the answer machine. That's my generation. But how did you find out you were drafted?
So I actually was out on, this isn't when I found out. It was a little later in the day, but I was out fishing. Brandon Saunders was in town. He came to visit me down in Florida. So me and him went fishing, and we got back and we were just hanging out at the house. And then I got a call from a random number in Baltimore. I was like, all right. I answered it. I was like, hello. And he was like, hey, this is, Jim Thrift for the Orioles. He's like, how would you like to be with the Orioles? I was like, yeah, that sounds pretty good. That'd be awesome. And it didn't really matter what for, because I was a senior. I was like, I just want the opportunity. And, and then the rest is history. And I go to tell Saunders, and Saunders starts freaking out, and then, and the rest is history after that.
Yeah, you mentioned the name Brandon Saunders. I think about Brandon Saunders in the dugout with all the shenanigans down in Clearwater.
Yeah, he was the energy guy in the dugout. He was all about the energy, and he always did the pregame speeches before the games. It was it's pretty funny.
Do you remember any of those speeches? Anything that you can share with us?
It was always, he would impersonate Elliot Avent. And I can't remember the exact speeches, but they were from his time at NC State, when some of the stories he heard. So he'd always make us laugh right before we'd go out there, and it was always funny.
We'll have to see if, hey, Bubba, next time Coach Avent comes on, we'll have to see if he can give us a pregame speech, and then we'll have that on the Sports Objective. I think that would be pretty funny.
Yeah, sounds good. There's definitely some memorable moments down through the years when the Pirates and Wolfpack have gotten together.
Yeah, you need Saunders on here to do get him to do a speech for you.
And maybe we can get him to come on, and then we could play some of it for Elliot Avent to see how good the Coach Avent impersonation is.
Yeah, if it's right.
Yeah, connect us with Brandon, and we'll make it happen.
All right, I'll let him know.
No doubt about it. So, Reid, as far as your time, I know you said unfortunately you didn't play because of an injury. You have COVID 2 years. What about now? What are you working on now? I know you're living in Florida. You're married.
Yeah, we actually just moved, so I'm, job searching around here in Live Oak, if you're familiar with that around here, around Tallahassee area.
Okay. I
And
know Tallahassee.
so we moved out here from Gainesville, which I'm still working in Gainesville. I just got to drive an hour and a half, but yeah, so I got to find something a little closer.
That sounds like me. I moved back home to Williamston, and I was working in Raleigh in radio, and I was driving back and forth, leaving at the house at 3 a.m., getting to the station by 4:30 in the morning. At least it was good for the fact that I could beat that Raleigh traffic, man. It's really, really bad. As far as your future, do you have ideas of stuff that, I know you say you're looking for that, but is there something that you've always wanted to do before we let you go?
Yeah, I thought about coaching and doing something with that, but I know it's tough. It's a lot of commitment, which I would enjoy. I mean, that's just something I would enjoy no matter what. And I, I thought about it, but I want to have time for my family. That when me and my wife start having kids, that I can be here all the time. Find a different job, which I don't know what I want to do yet. I got a degree in communications with such a broad degree that, I'm not really sure what. I thought about teaching and then just coaching high school, which is, not as much as a commitment as coaching college and, where you're recruiting all the time. And, if you want to be good, you got to recruit all the time. So you're not really home very often. So,
No question about it. And definitely, and it sounds like coaching is in your blood. And I'm sure if it's Little League, high school, American Legion, whatever it is, that you'll do a great job. And definitely, how can fans, before we let you go, how can fans keep up with you, stay connected? And we have a lot of passionate people in Pirate Nation that love their Pirates, whether it's current Pirate players or former Pirate players.
yeah, well, I'm on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook.
Everywhere.
I don't post a whole lot. I just like to have it just to see what everyone else is doing. I'm
Well,
not a big poster, so
I'm with you there. I don't have the time. Like probably that may be a good thing. That I don't post some of the stuff that I probably want to post. But anyway, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate everything you did for the Pirates. It means a lot. I don't think you guys know how much that you're loved, and that's one of the reasons why we started this podcast, is to give the love to former players, and obviously it gives us a platform to promote current Pirate players and current seasons and all that. But thank you so much for your time at East Carolina, and I know on behalf of Pirate Nation, appreciate you, and definitely love to have you back at a game very soon.
oh yeah, I definitely want to come back. But thanks for having me, guys. This was awesome.
We had a lot of fun. Thank you so much, Reid, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
All right, y'all have a good one.
I'll have a good night. Appreciate you, man. Glad to have Reid back on, certainly with extra innings coming up. Speaking of which, Bubba, extra innings, I would mind to find Next Level Training Center in Greenville. Trent Brent and company there, want to give them a shout out. And we'll have an extra innings first show on Sunday night. So we'll be talking about that. But I want to remind folks that 23 Jungle Tales is brought to you by pgxgloves.com. I want to thank Mark Minikazi. Mark is fantastic. He's been so good to this program. And of course, he was great to the Pirate program back in the day under Randy Mazey, and certainly at third base. And now he's it's Pirates supporting Pirates. We're supporting him. He's supporting us. And Bubba, what a great testament to a Pirate supporting Pirates with Mark Minikazi with his great pgxgloves.com.
Yeah, Kaz does an excellent job with pgxgloves.com. Definitely go there and check it out. I know he said he's had a few orders come in here in the last few days with the ECU promo code, 25% off. So definitely check that out. As you see scrolling across the bottom of the screen right now, use that promo code ECU in all caps to get 25% off anything on pgxgloves.com. And they're also, I'm not going to break the news because I don't know if Kaz wants me to go public with this, but some huge news for Mark Minikazi that we'll be talking about here in the next few days.
All right, and certainly.
And this is not related to pgxgloves.com. That business is doing well, but this is something else.
All right, we'll find out in the next few days. But again, fans listening, make sure that you go when you go to pgxgloves.com, use promo code capital ECU. Make sure ECU is in all caps, and you get 25% off your order at checkout. And that includes all items. So it's not just a select few items. No, it's for everything. Please do that. And we appreciate his support of the program. All right, Bub, before we go, we've got a big show tomorrow night, right?
Yeah, no doubt, Dave. So, tomorrow night we'll be catching up with East Carolina, or former East Carolina basketball coach Mac McCarthy. And
Coach
then
Mac.
we'll have Coach Mac tomorrow night, and in addition to that, I'm drawing a blank.
It was another basketball person will come to me in just a second that you wanted to have on there with Coach Mac. And anyway, we'll have Coach Mac McCarthy, and we'll definitely we won't waste anybody's time here tonight. But just join it. It'll be a special surprise for you tomorrow night. And that'll be right here on Facebook Live. We have on Twitter, and of course on our YouTube channel.
Yeah, and assuming nobody, it's Bob Rathbun was the guest that
That's right.
I apologize that I couldn't think of. It's been a long day, and that storm coming through here with some bad lightning. Drew a blank, but yeah, hopefully Bob will still be able to come on. If not, we'll have fun with Coach Mac talking college basketball, East Carolina, and otherwise as March Madness is quickly approaching.
And by the way, Duke fans are going to be upset because Jalen Johnson has opted out for the rest of the season to get ready for the NBA draft. So that's breaking news. Just broke about 15, 20 minutes ago. So we'll talk to Coach Mac about that. And this crazy COVID season, is it smart to continue to play, or should you opt out, as Jalen Johnson did? So we'll talk to him about that and many more things about March Madness, and will be more March Madness about COVID than it will be the ball games. We'll find out about that and so much tomorrow night. Thanks very much to Reid Love. I appreciate him, and we appreciate obviously everybody watching and listening to 23 Jungle Tales. It's right here on the Sports Objective. Good night, everybody, and go Pirates.
You've been listening to 23 Jungle Tales on the Sports Objective, the unofficial podcast of the Pirates. All these interviews and our other content can be seen on our Facebook page and YouTube channel. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe. The audio can be heard anywhere you listen to our show, including but not limited to Google Podcasts, TuneIn Radio, SoundCloud, and Apple Podcasts. Follow us on social media, on Twitter at TheSportsOBJ, on Instagram at The Sports Objective. Like and follow us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. As always, we appreciate you listening to the show. Go Pirates!